Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Right, guys, we have 24 hours left. I'm going to give you guys a rundown on things that have been happening in the United Kingdom. Now, a lot of this stuff that I've just had a load of information thrown to me this morning, guys. I'm going to give you stuff that's happening locally. And I'm going to assume that this stuff is happening nationally as well. Before we get onto that, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You guys know how many times I get banned. I'm only double streaming this morning. I'm on YouTube and I am on X because I've been banned again from TikTok. So, guys, listen, things are getting worse by the minute. And I just want to give you guys a little rant before we get into this. I am getting information coming in as we speak about a potential terror-related incident that may or may not be happening right now. As soon as I get more information, I will share that with you. But this mansion tax, guys, honestly, it's been my... I feel that I'm going to live in a castle. I'm going to buy a castle. It's going to be a fantastic castle. You know, I want like a moated castle with a drawbridge. I want 20-foot walls with battlements. I want guards patrolling that with beautiful shining armor and a white raven on their on their chest plate to signify the purity and the wisdom of the raven. And that's how I feel that I want to live. I don't want a mansion tax, guys. It's absolutely absurd. The more I think about it, the more I think about this mansion tax, the more draconian it seems. Look, guys, let's nobody be under any illusion that this mansion tax is going to stay at 2 million. And even if it does stay at 2 million, what does that even mean anymore? So here's the thing. That mansion tax will come down. So it's starting at 2 million, allegedly. Remember, guys, we don't know what's coming with this mansion tax. We've got 24 hours and I guess we'll find out. But I need to caveat this. Until that is done, we don't know. So this is speculation. But what they're saying is a mansion tax of houses worth 2 million and over. I believe that's just going to come down and down and down and down until it's just another tax, until everybody just accepted it then as a tax, because it's happened over the space of a couple of years. But like, imagine this now, guys. Just please imagine this. Put yourself in this situation. It's come right down, okay? And and it's like they're classing the mansion tax now as if your house is worth more than 100 grand or whatever. The numbers don't matter. But let's just go with the 2 million. So just pretend that you're in your house and the government come out and say, yep, your house is worth 2 million. First of all, who the fuck's valuing these houses? Like, who's coming out there to do the valuations? Like, who comes and values these houses? So they come out and they say, right, Raven, your house is worth $2 million, pounds. I say, right, okay. Well, I can't afford to pay that. I can't afford to pay $4.5 grand a month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it. Okay, right. I put it on the market. I think, all right, well, it's valued at 2 million. I might as well put it on at 2 million. Can't sell it at 2 million. You're like, what? Yeah, nobody wants to buy a fucking house at 2 million now. Why would you buy that? You want to buy a house less, don't you? So you don't have to pay the charges. And remember, houses are, however big your house is, houses are not just bricks and mortar. They're homes. They're memories encapsulated. Like I said last night, you've got the little lines on the wall where your kids grew up. You've got the bit of coving that fell off that your granddad knocked off. You don't ever want to replace that coving because your granddad died your granddad died shortly after doing that. And it's a little memory of him. All our houses, our homes, these are time capsules of our memories. So you're in your house, right? The government have valued it at 2 million and, you can't sell it for 2 million. So you're like, right, what the fuck? So I've got to pay tax now on a house that's worth 2 million that I've just had to sell for 1.5 million. So like, and then the new occupants move in, and then what do the new occupants do then? Do the new occupants say, oh yeah, how much? Well, I have to pay this new tax now. What's the tax? Oh, it's a £2 million tax because my house is worth more than 2 million. How much did you pay for it? 1.5 million. What the actual fuck? Do you see how nobody's thought thought this shit through, guys. Nobody has thought this stuff through. It's absolutely insane. There's going to be knock-on effects and different effects. I mean, how do people go that? It's just, honestly, guys, it's just absolutely bonkers. And we have got 24 hours and then the festivities will start. Right, before we get into this, guys, I want to share with you guys another video. I did this last night, and if you're watching from overseas, I want you to understand what things are like in the United Kingdom, right? Oh, sorry, guys, I forgot to turn the chat. The chat is on now. Good morning, everyone. Right, ladies, okay? Girls, I've got a question for you. So all the ladies, give me a holler the girls. Right, girls, I've got a question for you right now. I've got a question for you. It's a simple question. I'm going to share a video, right? I'm sure you guys have all seen this video. Okay, so I think this was by one of those audit guys. I don't know if I think this is a video shared by one of those audit guys. I'm only saying that because of his voice. Now, I'm sharing this video with you guys, okay? Imagine, girls, all right, in the chat. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario now, right? You're there, you know, you've dropped the kids, you know, you've dropped the kids off at school and you've got a little toddler now. Little toddlers, maybe 3 or 4 or whatever. Or kids maybe not at school. And you walk in, you think, oh, do you know what? Jenny? Let's go to the park. It's a lovely crisp morning. Let's go to the park. Yeah, let's go to the park, all right? So you walk and you just be in the shop or whatever. You know, this is apparently at 11 o'clock on like 11. It'll tell you in a minute. So you're walking to the park, okay? And your eyes meet you with this. What do you do? Are you going to go in the park, play on the swings?
Nothing better to do at 11 o'clock on a Monday morning except leave your hotel and go and play at the children's park. And not only play, actually have a little play on the swings in the local park.
Guys, listen, if you're not from the United Kingdom and you're watching this, this is the reality of life in the United Kingdom right now. It's not good. It's grim. And things are getting worse. And in 24 hours, they're about to be a lot worse. And look, guys, I'm getting information through about a potential terror incident. Now, this is my own work. This is my own speculation, my own analysis.
And one of them running around like an absolute nutter, screaming. I don't know if you can actually hear that, but now he's actually behind them.
Are we getting pattern recognition, guys? Are we getting pattern recognition? You know, when I was in the army, we had to do certain intelligence gathering tasks. And one of the things you would look for was pattern recognition. Now, pattern recognition is, are you noticing the same things by the same people? And if so, that's something to be noted. But girls, ladies, what do you do? You know, you're walking through here with the kids. Are you going to go on that playground with your kid? Are you going to take your kids on that playground?
Behind the thing, but unbelievable. Like I say, nothing better to do on a Monday morning. Come out your hotel and chill at the local park. Here he comes, look. This one, absolute fruitcake, look. Hanging around the children.
I mean, this, you know, like, I don't think people understand the differences. I think I'm being fair saying this. I don't think people understand the differences between some of these people who live in African tribes. The societal differences between some of these, and I'm not saying that these people live in African tribes, but I don't think people understand the societal differences between some people that live in African tribes and Western Europeans. Like, those differences are huge, guys.
Look at this. We have to go and get him out of there. Look.
I mean, can you imagine, like, if you were on your own? It's not worth thinking about, guys. It's not worth thinking about. But ladies, how would you feel? Like, how would you feel if you walked up to that park and that's what you saw? Like, how would you feel, guys? Debbie Doobs is saying he is on something. I don't know. Maybe he's just happy. Maybe he's just happy to finally. Maybe he's, maybe finally that guy's just happy that he's found his way into an, all he ever wanted to do is find his way to a park with it. And I will show that video later on, guys. I will show that video again later on. Right, guys, listen, some crazy stuff's been happening. I've been harping on about the budget for a long time. It is something that is really worrying me, and it should worry everybody. It really should, guys. It should worry absolutely everybody. So I don't know how these, like, a lot of these, I was going to buy one, actually. A lot of old buildings have been turned into flats and apartments. I guess they're flats. We're British, aren't we? We are British, guys. Okay, so a lot of apartments have been turned into flats. Now, sorry, not a lot of. Sorry, a lot of mansions, etc. They've been turned into apartments, flats. Now, I don't know where this is going to go, but like, will that have a mansion tax? Because the building will be worth more than 2 million. But that won't be a house, but it'll still be a mansion. So it's I don't know. And look, I would say if you're renting in one of those buildings, I would say your rent's going to go up. I mean, rent at the moment, guys, it's absolutely ridiculous. I was talking to my sister the other day, and I couldn't believe how much like people are paying in rent. Fucking cooked, guys. This is not the way we should be living. This is not the way humans are. This is not the way humans are supposed to live. It's absolutely not the way humans are supposed to live, guys. Absolutely not. Right, let me share this with you because I didn't realize this, right? This is wild, guys, right? This is absolutely insane. This right now is wild. Luxury cars removed from Motability scheme. Now, this just popped up and I was like, what? What even is that? So the program has been criticized for allowing people with non-visible disabilities to get luxury vehicles as part of their welfare. What? Honestly, guys, when you read into this, this is absolutely bonkers, right? This is absolutely bonkers. So people, and look, I know a lot of people with mental health problems, but apparently if you've got a non-visible, here we are, look, guys. This is ridiculous. Luxury cars are being given, literally luxury cars under this Motability scheme, who I'm going to assume has some sort of links back to the government, they're being given to people, just literally given to people who have, as it says there, non-visible disabilities. Look, guys, I'm not saying anything about people with disabilities. Yes, of course, people with disabilities should be able to get around, and it's something I never really thought of. But like luxury cars, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like Bugattis? Are we talking about like are we talking about Mercedes? Do people, is part of their, are people, is that where we are now? And I don't know. This is a question, all right? Are we at the phase in human society right now where people are saying, you know what? Because of my mental health, I can't drive a Toyota. I need a Mercedes. I need a Mercedes. I don't like the feel of the steering wheel on a Toyota. I only need I need that, I need that plush Mercedes. I need that plush Mercedes steering wheel. Is that where we are now in the United Kingdom, guys? Is that where we are? And I'm not, I want to be clear, right, guys? It's something I didn't really think about. If people have disabilities, how they get about. I didn't even think about it. But are we really giving people Mercedes from that headline? But yeah, luxury cars are to be removed from the scheme. Like, why is that? So, I don't know. We're just in a downward spiral right now, guys. We're just in an absolute downward spiral. Right, I'm going to give you guys the latest on. Right, I'm getting these messages through, guys. I'm getting these messages through, and I think okay, I'll give you guys what's happened. I'll give you guys what's happened in Sheffield. All right, this is non-confirmed right now. All right, this is non-confirmed right now. Okay, so this has just happened in Sheffield. Like right now, last night in Sheffield, there was an incident. I'm getting information through right now that 4 vans were stolen in Sheffield last night. The engines were cut out of these vans, and all the tools and the equipment was left in the vans. Now, straight away, I'm thinking, okay, Sheffield, you've got Meadowhall, you've got Sheffield, the Christmas markets, you have got lots of Christmas stuff there. And what I'm thinking is technicals. And I don't know if you guys know what a technical is. A technical is a technical is something that they used to build in. It's what they build in the Middle East, basically. It's like a Mad Max vehicle. And what I'm thinking of here is these vans that have been stolen in Sheffield. It's all the same type of van. The engines are not high-end engines, so it's not like Mercedes G-Wagons or anything. And I think once I get more information, guys, I'm going to give you guys more of an update on this. But the first thing that's coming to my mind is, what are those engines being used for? Because they're not high-end engines. They're works vans, so they've probably got high mileage. So in my head, they've just had the engines cut out. So in my head, I'm thinking that these things are going to be made into technicals. And those technicals could potentially be used for rammy. So guys, look, I don't know if this is going to happen or not. I'm relatively confident that this is not ordinary crime. I'm relatively confident that this is not ordinary crime, and this is more sinister. Right, guys, let me get the chat, and then I'm going to come on to the budget latest. I will be, so I don't know what time the budget is tomorrow. I will try and do a live stream tomorrow while that budget is playing. Sherry is saying, no one will buy mansions with tax you have to pay. They will just be left to rot. They will, guys. And a lot of people, look, guys, I love architecture. I do. I love architecture. I love buildings. I hate it when I see these beautiful buildings turned into blocks of apartments, flats. Really winds me up. Mintakazu Scotty Dog. Hello, Mintakazu Scotty Dog is saying, you United Kingdom. Yeah, it is crazy, guys. It is crazy. Parks are jungles now. Yeah, the concrete jungle. We all love cruising in the concrete jungle. I knew it was one of those audit guys. I thought it was one of those audit guys. I could just I thought I could recognize his voice. Pump Pack 10 is saying the devil makes work for idle hands. The devil makes work for idle hands. Isn't that on the Terminator Salvation? That wasn't under I think that was a massively underrated movie, Terminator Salvation. Sherry is saying, Sherry Heppelstone is saying, me personally, I turn around and walk away for the safety of my children and myself. Yeah. So this is it, you know, beaches, parks, they're gone. They're gone. You know, they're absolutely gone. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, girls, you know. So, you know, all you girls, look, everybody's saying it. Yeah, everybody's saying the same thing. So all the girls on here that are saying, so for those of you guys who've just jumped on, I'm just looking at that. So for those of you guys who've just jumped on, earlier on, I shared a video, and the video was, I think it's this guy, AI Audits or whatever he's called, and he walks into a park and it's full of migrants on, like, I think it's 11 o'clock on a Monday afternoon or something, and the park is full of migrants. So there's one in particular, well, alleged migrants, that's what he's alleging, and there's one and he's running around and he's screaming. These are grown men. These are like full grown men, and they're on a kids' park, and you know, all the girls in the chat are saying, no, I wouldn't. And the question I asked was, girls, ladies, if you were walking there with your children, how would you, you know, how would you feel? What would you do? Would you go on that park? Would you, you know, would you stop pushing people? You share your sandwiches? And all the girls are saying, no, I wouldn't. And here's the question, guys, you know, here's a question, you know, are you happy that you're tolerant and that your kids can't go to the park? Do you want to live in the tolerant country, or do you want to live in the non-tolerant country? You know, if you live in the non-tolerant country, if you live in the country that's not tolerant, you don't tolerate mass migration, you don't tolerate other religions taking over, you don't tolerate, you know, our institutions being infiltrated, you don't tolerate that shit, you know. And in that non-tolerant country, you get to walk to the park, you know, and you get to be quite confident that when you get to the park, there's only going to be kids in there and other parents with kids. You get that in a non-tolerant country because you don't tolerate the shit. And what else? And you know, when you're in a non-tolerant country and you're walking down the street with your phone, you don't have to worry about that phone being snatched out of your hand. And when you go to, and when it's Christmas and you're walking through the Christmas markets, you don't have to worry about somebody going rammy or stabby. You don't have to worry about that because you don't tolerate those types of people. Or do you want to live in the tolerant country? Or do you want to live in the tolerant country where you're afraid to go to the park because you're tolerating, because you're tolerant, because you're tolerating that? Do you want to live in that country where, you know, if you go on your phone, you've got to put your hands on the top and your other hand on it like that because you're scared of somebody snatching it out of your hand? When you're in the supermarket late at night and you're coming out and there's, you know, lots of different languages being spoke, do you want to feel that way? Because that's what happens in the tolerant country. But you know what? When you come out and you're petrified and it's dark and there's all these different languages, be safe and, you know, take comfort that you're tolerant. And when you go to the Christmas markets, if they're allowed to be called Christmas, winter markets, because they're not called, you know, when you're in the tolerant country, you don't have Christmas markets anymore. You have winter markets or festive markets. So when you go to these festive markets or winter markets, you know, you're walking around and somebody goes rammy, it's fine because you can think, you know what? Somebody's gone rammy. If you've ever seen rammy, it's fucking disgusting, guys. It's absolutely vile. But, you know, at least you get to say you're tolerant. At least you get to say you're tolerant, guys. At least you get to say you're tolerant. Right, let me jump down, guys. I'm just conscious I'm waffling on. Morrowind is saying, dude, some weird shit's happening. Guys, listen, I need to read you guys this, because I need to read you this. I've literally got this through on my phone from somebody who lives local to me in Sheffield, right? I've got to be careful what I'm reading, okay? So I'm looking at, okay. So in Sheffield last night, now guys, listen, this is unconfirmed, all right? This is not out on the mainstream media. This is what I'm getting from a friend of mine who lives in Sheffield, all right? So let me just be clear, all right? This is non-confirmed. This could all be fake. Please take this with a pinch of salt, all right? But I believe it to be true. Someone was shot last night in Sheffield and 3 vans were stolen. Now, they've sent me pictures. Now, this is from a Facebook post. They've sent me pictures of the 3 vans, and they're all work vans. Now, they're all the same type of work van. All the tools were left in the back of the vans. There's some high-end tools. There's a generator. There's a petrol generator. There's, a lot of DeWalt drills and stuff. The engines have been cut out very professionally. Those engines have been cut out very professionally, guys. Now, this was in the Sheffield region. And the first thing I'm thinking of straight away is, why would you, the engines, maybe, the engines are probably not worth that much. But if you buy an engine, if you buy a van, people know where that's come from. People can say, oh, right, this guy came out and he bought the van. So it's better if you're going to use them for a terror-related, if you're going to use them for something terror-related, you're going to steal them. That's the reality. 100%, that's the reality. You're not going to drive those vans far because you don't really want them being caught on cameras or anything. You're literally going to drag them into a field, which is what happened. You're going to cut the engines out, which is what happened, and you're going to be gone. They're going to be in the back of another van that's probably stolen with false plates, and that's going to be gone. So now what I'm thinking, and guys, look, this is from my experience in the Middle East. I'm saying that these engines could potentially be used as a technical. Now, what these technicals are is you literally build Mad Max type vehicles. You build Mad Max type vehicles that are, normally they use tractors. So in Syria, particularly, I remember coming across quite a few in Syria. They would get a tractor. They would weld steel plate to the sides of it. Literally just weld steel plating all over it, so that tractor then, pretty much, not tractor, sorry, like a bulldozer, like a cat or something. Now, you've literally got a makeshift tank. Now, I don't know why somebody would steal those engines. And again, guys, listen, this is not in the mainstream media. This is not in the mainstream media right now. I'm literally getting this from personal sources. So I'm pretty concerned. I'm pretty concerned of why this is happening. Claire FC, Claire LFC, I think. Claire LFC. Oh, Claire Liverpool Football Club. Am I right? Is that right? Is Claire Liverpool Football Club? Is saying Tesco's is selling boxed Christmas trees called evergreen trees now. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's just ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. Andy York, is saying the Polish people say they feel safe being out at night and have a very low crime rate. When asked why, they say it's due to no illegal migration and one culture. It is, guys. It is. It's one culture. Right, guys, let me jump down. Hang on. Somebody, I just saw somebody in the chat say, there we are. Okay, Donna Jenkins is saying it's on GB News that somebody has been shot in Sheffield in a life-threatening condition. Yeah, guys, listen, I'm getting this through right now. I don't know if this is all connected. But I literally just got that through on my phone this morning from somebody I know in Sheffield. And they're saying that, yes, like Donna Jenkins is saying, somebody was shot and 3 vans have been stolen. Now, the 3 vans that have been stolen, I'm very suspicious because the 3 vans, I'll try and share the video. I'll try and share the footage with you guys. But these vans have had the engines took out of them, and they're not high-end engines. You know, they're not high-end engines that you would expect to steal. So what I'm thinking is somebody's making a technical for a rammy. That's my thoughts, guys. Okay, and I would say that is a massive terror alert. Sarah May is saying our Tesco says Christmas trees was there. Our Tesco says Christmas tree was there last night in South Yorkshire. I don't know what that means, Sarah. Our Tesco says Christmas tree. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Right, let me jump over to it. So there's been some more news come out about this. Let me just check this, guys. Give me a second. Some more news come out about this budget as of 19 minutes ago. So, there's going to be a milkshake tax. So if you like pre-packaged milkshake and pre-packaged coffee, there's going to be a tax on that as well. They're literally taxing everything. What isn't there to be taxed? Done that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, what right now? Why would you bring money into the country right now if you're like, you know, if you're an international business, if you're an international, I do this, so I have clients, mostly Americans, and they pay me to do stuff, they pay me for stuff. And when they pay me, they will tell me, I'll say to them, look, you guys want me to go to this country and write a report on X, Y, and Z. Okay, fine. Pay me in pounds, put it into my UK account, and then I will deal with that shit myself. Right now, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. What I do now is I will, right now I won't do that. What I do is I will just say, look, don't pay me in pounds, pay me in a different currency because the pound isn't worth shit anymore. And it's not. Every time the Chancellor opens her mouth, it's So, God's little helper, do you know where these vans have been taken from? God's little helper, do you know where these vans where these vans have been taken from? So, God's little helper is saying those vans were nicked to sell the engines. They're about 1,500 quid each. The van's not worth. You see, these vans are not worth 1,500 quid. The vans are not worth 1,500 quid, guys. So, do you get more money? Do you get more money? Do you get more money for the engine or the van? So I don't think that's right. You may be right. You may be right. I don't know. What I would say is always err on the side of caution. And look, and I will do a lot. I will do a video on this actually. So if you're a criminal gang, all right, and you're nicking vans to steal stuff, you would expect, that you want to get the maximum money, right? Why would you leave all the tools in the back? You know, why would you leave all the tools in the back? There was a, you know, there was a petrol generator in the back as well. You know, so why would you leave all those tools in the back? I don't think you would. If you're a criminal gang and you're going to steal stuff, you're going to steal the van, all right? And all right, let's go with this. Let's just say, for example, these high mileage engines are worth 1,500 quid. And I don't think they are. I don't think the vans were worth 1,500 quid. But let's just say, for example, that you want to make some money. Are you telling me that they didn't think, oh, look, there's a load of tools in the back there. We might as well take those. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. I don't think those vans were worth 1,500 quid each. I'm giving you guys my speculation. But he said, there's no other explanation as Rami. It's just a paranoid notion that's wrong. Okay, well, listen, God's little helper is saying I'm wrong. And I hope I am. I hope I'm wrong. But to say there's no other explanation, okay, so if you're still on, I don't know if God's little helper's still on, but God's little helper, if you're still on, can you just explain why they didn't take the tools and the petrol generators that were in the back of these vans and they just cut the engines out? Makes no sense to me. So if there's no other option, if there's no other explanation, then what's the explanation for not? If you're saying, God's little helper, that the vans were nicked to sell the engines, and the engines are about 1,500 quid out of a van that's worth less than 1,500, I don't know. Why didn't they? If you're saying there's no other explanation, and that's quite definitive, why didn't they take the tools? Why didn't they take the thousands of pounds worth of tools out the back? Why did they only take the engines? Are we saying they didn't look in the back? I don't know. I would always err on the side of caution, guys. I would always err on the side of caution. And, and I do believe that there's going to be a spectacular event in the United Kingdom. We've been relatively lucky. But we have an amount of information in the United Kingdom right now where things like drone attacks, things like drone attacks are, a real thing. And by drone attacks, I mean these ones. So these drones here, the quadcopter drones, you can buy those from I don't know. Well, you can buy all the parts online, 100%. You can buy all those parts online. And I would speculate, in fact, I'm confident that there are people crossing the border, crossing over as migrants, that have the knowledge and the understanding on how to put those drones together. And I would also speculate that we have people and contraband crossing the border on the back of small boats, hand grenades, RPG rounds, explosives, that those people can put together. So I do think there's going to be I do think we're primed for a spectacular event in the United Kingdom. It could come this Christmas. Rebellion is saying, what vans were they and not many leave tools in the back? I'm going to do a video on this later on. I'm not getting all the information. I've not got all the information yet. But I got a message this morning from my friend who lives in Sheffield, and they said, Sean, somebody was shot last night in Sheffield and 3 vans were stolen. All the engines were cut out. Now, this may just be criminals, guys. They may be able to get, you may be able to get like £1,000 or whatever for a, or 1,500 quid for a works van engine. But these have high mileages. I don't know. But one of the things that like kind of sent shivers down my spine was there's pictures on Facebook. And one of them is of the back of the van when the police, I think it's the police have found them. I don't know. And they found the vans with the engines cut out and the back doors are open and all the tools are still in there. So there were tools left in there. There were tools. There's pictures of there's tools. I can't zoom in. There's tools. There's a petrol generator. There's an enterprise van. There's an enterprise van. So I don't know what years these things are on. So I'm just going through the pictures now. I think I'll do a so it's just suspicious, guys. Okay, it's just suspicious. I don't know what vans they were. I'm not a van guy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a van guy. I'd be able to tell you more about drones and like tanks and bombs and stuff. Yeah, there was somebody shot in Sheffield last night. Do you know what? Actually, this has come out on GB News. Give me a second. Okay, so it is out. Actually, it is out. So I'll share this with you. Boy 16 fighting for his life after shooting. A 16-year-old boy is in life-threatening condition after being shot on a street in Sheffield, police have said. South Yorkshire police said they were called to London Road in the city centre about Jesus. That was like, this was like an early shooting. People are going for the dinner and stuff at that time. On Monday, with the boy taken to hospital after suffering an injury consistent with a gunshot wound. The road was closed due from the junction at Sitwell Place to the Croworth Place turn off to allow for investigation work to be carried out. I don't even know where that is. Yeah, that's all we know. So yes. There was a shooting yesterday. It's not even last night. There was a shooting yesterday after. There was an afternoon shooting, a good old afternoon shooting. I don't think people, I don't know what he was shot with. I'm going to assume it was a shotgun. Because they're easily available in the United Kingdom. Those things are bad, guys. A shotgun wound, it's pretty bad. They are, as far as trauma goes, I can't think of any. I literally can't think of, if I was to be shot, if I was going to get shot, I'd probably, realistically, if I was going to get shot, I'd probably want to get shot by either 9mm. I would want to get shot with 9mm, or maybe if it was an assault rifle, like 7.62 short, definitely not a shotgun, guys. Though, I don't know if anybody's ever seen a gunshot wound. They're horrific. They are like the worst, like a shotgun wound. Sorry, they really are bad. They're the worst. It's just everything goes. Dylan is saying, can everybody just stop getting shot, please? I agree. Everybody needs to stop getting shot. Vans haven't got LED lights yet for growing purposes. I don't know what that means. But with the vans, it was just the engines that were cut out. Everything else has been left. Donna's talking slim. Right, guys, listen, ladies, I've got another question for you guys. I'm going to do this again. I've got another question, guys. If you're female, do you know what? Anybody, actually. Do you know what? I would give you guys the same answer, actually. I'm going to share this video. I shared this right at the beginning of the live stream. So last night, I shared a video. I think it was in Hull. And people are just they've taken shoplifting now to a new level. So the level of shoplifting now is people just going to the shop. People are going into shops with wheelie bins, filling the wheelie bins up with shit, not shit, but like goods, and wheeling it out. So I'm going to share this video with you now. This is a video, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. I asked the girls, but I think that's unfair. Like, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you imagine, I'm going to paint a picture, all right? It's a Monday afternoon. Kids are off school, you know, or maybe they're little and they're not at school yet, and you're like, oh, do you know what? Let's have a little walkie to the parky. You know, do you want to go on the swings? Pushing your kids on the swing, there's nothing better than that. Watching their little faces when they're going, oh, you know, it's beautiful. Pushing your kids on the swing, guys, like it's fucking priceless, you know. So, you know, you're walking to the swings, you know, got your little kids there, they're in the onesies, they're all nice and warm. You're walking, you know, you're walking to the park. Oh, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. And then you come across this.
Nothing better to do at 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, except.
And just to be clear, guys, this video, I think it's that guy AY Audits. I don't know. I'm pretty sure by his voice. I've not been on his channel. I think this is AY Audits.
Leave your hotel and go and play at the children's.
Watch this guy here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the gentleman on the right-hand side with the black coat and the bald head. Watch that guy. He's, well, just keep your eyes on him.
Park. And not only play, actually have a little play on the swings.
Would you feel confident and comfortable taking your kids to that park, you know, and putting them on the swings? I mean, let's be fair, guys, right? If you're an adult and you're on the swings, like, if you're like, adults shouldn't go on kids. Like, you should, there's an unwritten rule, isn't there? There's an unwritten rule that you don't go, if you're an adult, you don't go to kids' parks unless you've got kids. Like, that little fence thing around there, that's like an unwritten rule, isn't it? It's like an unwritten rule in British society. You just, do you know what? I'm going to say Western society, right? If you're an adult and there, you know, you don't go there, that shit's out of bounds for you. It's out of bounds. You don't do that. That's for the kids. I don't think, you know, these are these tacit, these are these tacit social contracts whereby people know you don't fuck about with kids. That stuff belongs to kids. If you're not a kid, you don't fuck about with it. These are tacit social contracts that we all have blood memory and abidance by.
In the local park. And one of them running around like an absolute nutter. Screaming. I don't know if you...
I mean, what would you do? Just pretend that they're not there, all right? And you're in there with your kids, and that one guy comes out and he starts shouting at your kid. Yeah. Like, how do you react?
You can actually hear that. But now he's behind the thing, but...
And what's this guy doing here in the middle? Like, it looks like a zombie apocalypse film. You know, if that guy if the guy AY Audits, if he stands on a twig, you know, if the guy AY Audits stands on a twig now and they all go, oh, ah, and they all start chasing him and they're all on all fours and someone's climbing the tree, someone's going backwards.
Unbelievable. Like I say, nothing better to do on a Monday morning. Come out your hotel and chill at the local park. Here he comes, look. This one, absolute fruitcake, look. hanging around the children. Look at this. You have to go and get him out of there. Look.
But at least we are tolerant. At least we're tolerant, guys. You know, we can't go to the parks. We can't go to the beaches. We're scared of leaving our homes. But you know what? At least we're tolerant. At least we're tolerant. At least we've got that tolerance in us. You know, at least we've got that tolerance. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to challenge. You know, I'm going to challenge this because, like, what Stephen's saying is there's been multiple reports or reported incidents of razor blades and other dangerous objects being deliberately placed in playgrounds across the UK in recent years. And he's putting Islam. We don't know who's doing this. It could just as well be, you know, bad people. You know, so, you know, I don't know where that's coming from. Claire is saying, import the third world, get the third world. You see, when I spent like, I did some time in Kenya in the military. My hair is getting absolutely phenomenal, isn't it, guys? My hair's getting phenomenal. I did some time in Kenya and we did this like expedition trekking. We came across a Kenyan tribe. I think called like Maasai's. Yeah, they are. They're like Maasai's. They have like red gowns. They wear like red. I think they may be like taking inspiration from Scotland, or Scotland may be taking inspiration from them, because they wear like these red. The best way I can describe it is a red toga. You know. Anyway, these Maasai's. It's like a tribe in Sheffield. Not. Do you know what? There may be a Maasai tribe in Sheffield, but that's not what I was talking about. So in Kenya, there's a tribe called the Maasai's. I don't, you know, and we came across some of them in their natural where they live. Now, obviously, these guys didn't speak English, and they were a very primitive community. You know, they lived in like mud huts, like that they literally handmade mud huts. You know, they had no electricity. They had no running water. You know, they literally lived off the land. You know, they slept on the floor. And I'm not criticizing this. You know, they were hunter-gatherers. They went out, the men went out, they hunted, you know, they came, and that's how they live. Wait till we start importing those people. You know, wait till we start importing these people and telling them they've got to live in a hotel, they've got to work, they've got to get a job, they've got to pay taxes. Wait till that starts happening, guys. You know, wait till that starts happening, because if you think things are bad now, you know, if you think things are bad now, wait till those people come. And I don't, you know, and I'm going to assume there's different African tribes, you know, different African tribes that are, you know, similar to the Maasai's. But I know the Maasai's are in Kenya. Danny Walker is saying, can we please play this song called Follow Me Home by Blood and Soul, trying to get it to Christmas #1? I'll listen to it later, Danny, and then we'll try and get that sorted. Guys, I really need to go for a wee. Let me just jump down. What happens when a kid or kids out on their own go to that park? They've been taught not to see danger. Boom! There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is your generational loss straight away. Guys, I'm going to run to the toilet real quick because I do need a little wee. I'm going to run to the toilet. I'm going to come back. I'll be back in like 1 minute, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this exact fact, generational dynamics, and how we are moving into a crisis phase. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys, I was a bit longer then because I heard a ladder going. I was like, what the fuck is that? Right, okay, so CRF with a fantastic thumbnail of good old King John is saying, what happens when a kid or kids out on their own go to that park? They've been taught not to see the dangers. This is what happens, guys, okay? Generational dynamics. So I got into a bit of trouble from you guys who are Gen Xers, all right? Because I was giving you guys how cycles work. So this is how things work, guys, okay? So I'm going to start with the war cycle, the war generation, but you guys will be able to trace this back generationally. So you get the war kids, like the war generation, all right? And they, by default, have to become strong. They have to become strong. They have to become strong and like they have to stand for their own shit. And they have to say, no, this is ours. If you want it, literally come take it because I ain't giving it you, right? You want my shit, come and fucking take it. And you're going to have to fucking fight us to the last man. So that's what happens with a strong generation. Then that strong generation, their kids grow up and they don't see what their parents saw. So they grow up in relative harmony. And when they have kids, their kids grow up not even knowing about threat. They have no idea about threat. They don't see threat, feel threat. Everything is awesome. Oh, come, yeah, everybody's nice and kind. We all share. Bum, 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 bum. Those guys. Obviously, not everybody, but generationally, this is true. So then you get the bad times. So then those kids grow up with the fucking threat. So when those kids grow up, those kids are strong. And right now, our Gen Zs are that strong generation. So I'm going to say that right now, right now, we are heading into that war cycle, crisis phase. Right, guys, I am going to jump down more anymore. I'm going to jump down. Guys, I'm just going to jump to the bottom because quite a lot of chat jumped on. Oh, hang on a minute. Donna's got, right, let me jump up and get Donna's first. Right, I can't find your first comment, Donna. Where's your first comment? Donna, where are you? Donna. Right, okay. Right. I don't know where Donna's first comment is. All I've got is follow on. I must have missed it. I've clearly missed it. Or it might have been restricted, Donna. Donna, I can only get this one. I don't know what your other one is. So Donna's saying, several schools were plunged into lockdown and the public was warned to stay away as major police operation response to a firearms scare unfolded in Sydney's northwest. New South Wales police officers were called to Beer Mount Hills Monday, 24th of November by concerned members of the public. Yeah, lots more schools are going into lockdown. Now, you can argue that these schools are going into lockdown because they've been taught to go into lockdown. You know, X, Y, and Z happens, you go into lockdown. Now, jumping onto the macro. So this is on the micro. On the macro, I think this is a good example, actually. So when you get those policies in place, you abide by those policies. So in that school, they will say, right, okay, if there is anybody acting suspiciously and they enter school property, we hit that button and we go into lockdown, because that's what we've all agreed. I'm going to expand this now to the macro. So when you're a country and people keep flying into your airspace, and then you call Article 4 and you all agree what to happen, we're looking like a global conflict starting by accident. So Toxic Goyhole is saying Generation Alpha. Are we talking about the Gen Zs? Are we talking about the Gen Zs, guys? Are we talking about the Gen Zs? Toxic Goyhole is saying I think are you talking about Generation Z? And look, guys, I mentioned this before. I've mentioned this a few times. You know, I've mentioned this a few times. I mentioned this over a year ago. I saw this with my own eyes. I call these kids the golden generation, because these guys are going to be absolute monsters. Like, I was watching like 14 and 15-year-old lads fighting with the police, literally fighting with the police. At 14 and 15 years old, these kids were fucking wild. They were out of control. They did not give a flying fuck. And this is what's, and this is what is, and these are the kids that are growing up. And I say protect that generation at all costs. Because when we're old, and we're, when we're old, these are the kids that are going to protect us. And I promise you, this generation that are growing up now are going to be fucking awesome. We failed them. We did. We failed them. We absolutely failed them. We failed them through wokeity-bokity. We failed them by an open borders policy. We failed them by not being strong enough. We failed them. We absolutely failed them. But these kids are going to grow up strong and they're going to protect us. I didn't fail. Just so you guys know, Raven doesn't fail. Martin Quinn is saying the schools are on the high school in the village. The schools are on the high school in the village. I've got a new fence all the way around. It's like a prison with a big electric gears. It does feel like we're. Oh, the teenagers are the Generation Z. I think Gen Z's. I think it goes bigger than that. Young children are alpha. I hope they are pushing back again. They are. They absolutely are. Like, I know that. I know they are, guys. I know they are. We know they are. If anybody's got kids, look, these generational things. I'm saying if you're 17 and under, you're going to be part of that generation. Sorry, but Toxic Goyhole is saying the teenagers are Gen Z. The very young children are the alpha. I hope they are pushing back against the woke in real time. It's amazing to see. It is. And you get these generational shifts. They are generational shifts. So the meme, that meme, guys, like strong Strong men create good times. Good times create weak good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Literally, that is it. That's true. That is absolutely true. Listen, guys, there's a lot of people saying the same stuff on the, there's a lot of stuff saying the same stuff in here. And like, I'm going to close this down in a second, but let's just all take this as a final word. Protect Gen Z. We failed. I'll be quite clear. The generations have caused an absolute fucking shitstorm. We need to protect Gen Z at all costs. Lynn Chalmers is saying, I took my 14-year-old to a protest. He even contacted me when history teacher lied to them. She got hauled over the coals. Yeah, you do. You really do need to re-educate your children, guys, when they come home from school and they give you this woke bullshit. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Right, let me jump over this, guys. Fire in London. Let's get this. Wow, 7 minutes ago. Right. Right. I'm reading this in real time, guys. I'm going for this one. Right, guys. I'm going to share this with you. Thank you, Donna. Right, I'm going to share this in real time. I've not read this. This was 29 minutes ago, and I was waffling. Right. About 100 firefighters at London warehouse fire. Okay, what was in the warehouse? What drone parts were in that warehouse? What parts for the military-industrial complex were in that warehouse? What kind of systems, chips, motors were in that warehouse? Look, guys, we're seeing this method, aren't we? We're seeing this direction. We're seeing this pattern recognition. Warehouses, storage facility, haulage companies, all going up in flames. And then a few months later, we find out, oh, they had computer parts for the military. So when we talk about asymmetric warfare, non-conventional warfare, grey warfare, soft warfare, the military bases are secure. We are military base. Fucking hell. Yes, our military bases are the securest in the country, and nobody can get on here without 6 forms of ID and a passport. So that's fine. The bases are secure. What about the storage facilities? What about the substations that support that base? Right, let's get on to this, guys, okay? 12 minutes ago, updated. So about 100 firefighters are tackling a fire in London, which has broken out at a warehouse. Right, I'll try and get the... Right, Bridge Road in London. Right, let me try and get in Southall. Right, I will try and get that on the maps in a second, guys. A warehouse and retail space have been affected. Okay, so I'm going to assume, and I'm just thinking out loud, that retail space could be used to do something for the military. These fires don't just break out randomly. Right. That is literally all they're telling us, which is a bit weird, guys, okay? So this is a new thing. I'm going to look now. I'm just going to quickly Google that location and see if we can get anything from that. I will share this with you. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking on the maps now. Okay, right, okay. Yeah. Okay. Right, I've got this. Right, how do I share this? Right, I'm going to share this now. So we've just found out there's a fire in London, a massive fire. Now, I'll show you the location. And I'll tell you why I think this is very key. So here is where, so this is where the fire is, guys, okay? You can see the cursor thing there. That is where the fire is. Now, if you look at the proximity of that to Heathrow Airport, that will be in prime real estate. So if you were going to have things that were highly sensitive that needed to be shipped internationally, you would have them in close proximity to that airport because you don't really want to be transporting things far. So I would say there's something that is a high-end target, and I would say, you know, I'm not even gonna say that. I'm just gonna say the proximity to the airport is very, you know, it's key. When you're choosing these locations, you always think, right, okay, what are my transport routes in and out? Who's going to be coming in? Who's going to be coming out? So you want these things close to those transport links. So if you're in the United Kingdom, you know, and you have I don't know, I'm trying to think. If you want to have a national logistics company in the United Kingdom, you want it in the middle of the country, and you want it to have access to like the M1 because that's the main, you know, that's the main artery in the United Kingdom, right? If you're doing international shit and sending things on airplanes, you're going to want that to be close to the airfield. And that's what, you know, the airport, sorry. And that's clearly what that was. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I just want to give everyone that 24-hour notice. Things are about to get a lot worse when every time Rachel Reeves opens her mouth, you know, every time Rachel Reeves opens her mouth, guys, we get poorer. That's the reality, guys. You know, we get poorer. Our purchasing power gets less. We've got 24 hours, guys, and things are going to get worse. Remember, I just shared with you guys the video of, you know, this park. You know, it looks like we've lost our parks now. It does. It looks like we've lost our parks now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, so residents have heard explosions. Donna's saying that residents have heard explosions. I'm going to assume this is sabotage, guys. Right now, I'm working that this is sabotage. I'm working on this is sabotage. If you, for example, if you were building drones to be shipped to Ukraine, you would build them somewhere close to an airport. And I'm not saying they're building drones for Ukraine. I'm saying that if you were building drones for Ukraine, putting these little quadcopters together, these ones, or maybe even these ones, you would want them close to an airport that had direct flights to Rzeszów. Now, Rzeszów is in Poland. That is the closest international airport to the front line in Ukraine. So you would want your facility there. That's where you would want it. That is where you would want it, guys. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. I'll be back on later today at 8. Unless something jumps up, which I don't, well, it may or may not do, or unless we get more information on this, I'm going to go now, guys, and I'll make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button down below and the bell notification, and I'll catch you guys later.